everyone. Tim Gabauer, Superintendent of Schools. As we prepare for the 25-26 school year, I have Mr. James Eccles, also known as JJ Eccles, joining us today, who's our athletic director. We'll be able to talk a little bit about what's happening in the summer, what we're looking like going into the school year, anything along those lines. And this also gives us an opportunity to let people place a face with a name for those that have not met you before. I've not seen you, even though I know you do a great job of getting out at events and what have you, and you're very visible. But JJ, if you can go back, I know it's a big adjustment. When people think athletics or they play athletics, like athletic director, that sounds really cool. Hey, but it's a challenging job, and it's a big transition. Can you speak a little bit to your experiences of your first year and what it's been like here at Mount Pleasant?
So from the first kickoff to the knocker ball competition in gym class, the couple days before graduation, there was a lot of different experiences. I got to meet a lot of interesting and great people in the Mount Pleasant area. Being able to serve the students, the teachers, the coaches, and obviously the parents here was a pleasure my first year. We got to move into areas that needed some upgrading in policy and procedure with locker room procedures, equipment storage, working into some bullying, harassment education. So we got to really get hands-on with some of the things firsthand with coaches and parents. And I wouldn't say that I could have had a better experience anywhere else, in my first year. And I think some other significant improvement that we got to make was that we got to have physicals with administrative approval and the teachers on campus here. I think it went really well. Thanks to Allison Myers and Independence Health for helping us out there. And then also, we had cardio evaluations, which there are state mandates going throughout the country right now where students are getting EKGs and different heart evals so that they prevent any sudden cardiac arrest or anything like that within sports. So we were one of the first, I think, in the area to have that available to our students this summer, which is it was a nice gesture with Capo Health, and they came down to help us out in that area. So
great. Well, as we go into the second year, I know you've been able to see the scheduling process and setting up the officials and dealing with the buses and dealing with the budget. So I'm sure it's nice to have a little bit of a year under your belt to move on and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, settle in a little bit and what have you. So any physical changes? I know around the entire district in the summer, we've got so many things happening in our buildings, preparing for the instructional side of things. Mm-hmm. Anything you can mention along the venues in any of the buildings or that we use athletically that might be different?
Yeah, so to the common spectator, when you walk into our gymnasiums, we're going to have new padding put up in there. So that's probably a little bit overdue, but we're excited about having those. And then a really pleasant surprise would be that we have so many state champions and 100 wins wrestlers and 1,000-point scorers here in the district that we're going to have to do some maneuvering with those boards in our gym. So those are great problems to have here.
Yeah, when those record boards were put up and there were about 25 slots left, like, oh, this will be here for quite some time. Well, boy, that swim team has really chewed through them quite quickly, and yeah, which is a good thing. So it's a matter of maneuvering but that is forthcoming.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then in the outdoor arena, we're looking to make some improvements on the baseball field, possibly with some new sod installed, and maybe slight improvements on the mound there. So, and there'll need to be a little bit of work on the junior high field as well as we go back into having our junior high play here instead of at Mammoth Park.
Correct, because we had the sinkhole problem down below in our lower athletic field that we actually has been out to bid and we've been dealing with and is getting corrected, as we speak. So you'll be able to gain that back for sure in the fall here for usage, but then in the spring for the field. So I noticed today, well, I noticed prior to this, but today you were even meeting with a gentleman, one of the sign company folks, because if you've driven around in the back, you would notice during one of the storms on the back of Viking Stadium, has the Mount Pleasant area, and two of the letters were blown off, and when they fell down, they got destroyed. So the challenge is trying to get those letters back up if we're going to go that route, trying to match the colors because they've been there for a while. Like there's a lot to it, a lot more than what you might think. So,
Absolutely. I found out quite quickly what one or two letters the project might entail, and it's not as simple as just gluing it back up there, you know. So.
No, yeah, it's very high, and yeah, there's a lot to it. But anyhow, so those of you who've seen those letters not there, that's in the works. That is getting repaired, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's definitely on it.
Goal is before the first football game, so
be nice.
hopefully we'll hit that target deadline.
Just 3 weeks.
Yeah, not much time there.
So how do folks request use of any of our district facilities? I know it's always a busy place, and people request, but there's a process for that, and there's a way to make sure that there's no overlap, that nobody's getting pushed out. How does that happen? How would they do that?
Well, if you would just go onto our athletics website, you could click More, and then right after you click on More, there's Mount Pleasant Athletic Department, and after you click there, there's Facility Requests. Click on Facility Request, and you can fill out a request, and then we'll look at it. Sometimes it takes a little more time because we'd like to get our varsity schedule and then junior high schedules in there. So bear with us on that one if it is someone in the community. If it's an urgent need for some reason, you know, please contact myself or Liz Lee at the office.
Yeah, and as far as funding for those, like if it's one of our feeder programs, it's very minimal. Maybe it might be a custodial need or something, on a weekend if it's above time. And if it's somebody that's in the community, that's not a feeder program, there are some associated fees that go with that, but that comes out through in the request process. So, and to get to the athletic website, you go to the www.mpasd.net website, which is our main website, and then there is an athletics section, and then you can navigate it like JJ had said.
If you got Google, you can just type in there Mount Pleasant Vikings Athletics, and it pops up. But luckily, that's the top hit for us right now. We did have a changeover in our athletic website this summer, so I was highly invested into figuring out what the top Google hits were when you typed in Vikings, athletics, things of that nature. So that's.
Now, I like the look of it. I like the framework of the new website. It actually looks nice. So.
I feel like it's much more user-friendly than the old.
It is. So what vision do you have, and what can you share with everybody about the MPA athletic programs?
I think one of the pleasures in getting to work here is we had some fantastic student athletes who won 2 state championships as teams. We had 4 section championships, 7 runners-up, 13 teams qualified for the playoffs. So, I don't know if we could sustain that level of success, but it's been a pleasure in watching the students, and more importantly, everyone that has come through, I think, with the teachers and the coaches. The goal is to have them be set up to reach their goals when they leave this place, and that I think is the most important thing. And when students come in to talk to me almost daily, and a lot of times the kids that come in aren't the superstars or anything like that, but one of the things I like to ask them, like, what's your goal?
Absolutely.
And just sitting there and talking to them and trying to help that student obtain what they're looking for after they leave Mount Pleasant area.
Athletics and activities opens up quite a few doors. Somebody in the band that's looking to move on and do something, there are opportunities in which to do that as well. So, thank you. And building those personal relationships is key. I mean, to have an open door, be able to talk to the kids and get the kids to know who you are, that's a big part of this. That's what makes it tough when you get toward the end of your career. That's the piece that you're going to miss. I mean, being able to see kids on a daily basis and interact is what makes it go. So if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, Mr. Eccles, what is the best way to go about that? And what could they expect as far as return and what that might look like?
Honestly, if you call the main office here, my extension's 1035. If I'm not in there, I'm probably walking around, and I'll get back to you, usually day of. Very rarely it's the next day, because I do check my emails and my voicemail quite frequently. If it's just a matter of an email, please send it to me at Jeckels, Jeckels, at mpasd.net, and then I'll get back to you. Like I said, it's usually around the same amount of time, probably day of. Like, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Much time at all.
Well, listen, as we head into the 25-26 school year, anything else at all that's on your mind? Anything relative to athletics? Anything you want to throw out there before we?
Well, you've already brought it up. It was the press box was kind of the pressing deal that we had.
Because it's so visible. It's so visible. We've had calls and inquiries about that. Like, hey, you gonna fix the letters? Like, yeah, we're getting there. It's nothing happens overnight, because there are processes and bids and quotes and ways to go about that to make sure you're doing it the proper way. So it takes a little time, but we're on it.
Yeah. So that's been the pressing issue, I'd say,
I gotcha.
at this point in time.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us, Mr. Eccles, and everybody out there. I hope you found a little bit out about athletics, and if there's anything else you needed to find out about athletics, Mr. Eccles had given you some information in which to get a hold of him. And thank you again for joining us today, and thank you, everybody out there. Have a great day.